What if I told you that one single night in history was whispered about thousands of years before it ever happened? Long before stars were named, long before kings wore crowns, long before the world even understood what it was waiting for, the promise had already been spoken. And tonight, I want to take you on a journey to that moment. Not just to a manger. Not just to a baby. But to the exact point where every prophecy, every promise, every hope of humanity finally met. Stay with me, because this story is not just about the past. It's about why the world was holding its breath, and why heaven finally answered. From the very beginning, when humanity first fell, God spoke a promise. A whisper in the darkness. A light hidden inside a curse. He said that one day, the seed of a woman would crush the head of evil. Think about that. From the very first broken moment of mankind, God was already pointing forward. Already planning redemption. Already preparing a savior. Generation after generation passed. Empires rose and fell. People prayed. People doubted. People waited. And yet the promise never faded. It echoed through history like a heartbeat. Abraham was told that through his family, all nations of the earth would be blessed. Not just one tribe. Not just one land. All nations. And Abraham believed, even when it seemed impossible. Isaac came. Jacob followed. Then the nation of Israel was born. And still, the promise moved forward, quietly, faithfully. Then came King David. A shepherd boy turned king. And God made him another promise. He said that one day, from David's own bloodline, a king would rise whose kingdom would never end. Not a temporary throne. Not a passing crown. An eternal kingdom. A forever reign. The kind of promise that doesn't fit into human logic. Prophets began to speak. Not guessing. Not imagining. But declaring what God revealed. Isaiah spoke of a virgin who would conceive and give birth to a son, and they would call him Emmanuel, God with us. Micah narrowed it down even further. Not just the family line. Not just the nation. But the exact town. Bethlehem. A small, overlooked place. Too small to matter in the eyes of the world. And yet, chosen by God. Think about how precise this is. The family. The lineage. The birthplace. The timing. Hundreds of years before it happened, written down, preserved, read aloud, debated, doubted, and yet waiting. Meanwhile, the world kept spinning. Rome ruled with iron fists. Caesars claimed divine titles. Power belonged to the strong. Glory belonged to the rich. And in the middle of all this noise, God prepared something unbelievably quiet. A young girl named Mary. Not royalty. Not famous. Not powerful. Just faithful. Just willing. And when the angel appeared to her, the words spoken were not small. She was told she would carry the Son of God. Not a symbol. Not a metaphor. The Son of the Most High. The heir to David's throne. The fulfillment of ancient prophecy. Imagine her fear. Imagine her confusion. And yet she said yes. Not knowing the full story. Not knowing the cost. Just trusting God. Joseph, too, faced his own battle. Confusion. Shame. Fear. But God spoke to him in a dream, reminding him that this child was no accident. No mistake. No scandal. This was the plan. The child would be named Jesus, because he would save his people from their sins. And suddenly, all those prophecies stopped being words on scrolls. They became flesh. They became movement. They became real. A Roman census forced Joseph and Mary to travel. Politics. Bureaucracy. government decisions. All unknowingly pushing prophecy into place. A pregnant woman riding toward Bethlehem, fulfilling Micah's words step by step. No room in the inn. No palace prepared. No celebration from the powerful. Just a stable. Straw. Animals. A feeding trough. And that's where heaven touched earth. Not with thunder. Not with fire. But with a newborn cry. The King of Kings did not arrive wearing gold. He arrived wrapped in cloth. The one who shaped galaxies allowed himself to be held by human hands. The one who spoke light into existence was born into darkness. And even then, God made sure witnesses were present. Not kings. Not priests. Shepherds. Ordinary men watching sheep in the fields. And suddenly, the sky exploded with glory. Angels announced good news of great joy for all people. Not some people. All people. This was the moment history had been leaning toward. Wise men from the east saw the sign in the heavens. A star. Not random. Not coincidence. A marker placed by God himself. They traveled far, carrying gifts fit for a king. Gold. Frankincense. Myrrh. Each one speaking of who this child truly was. A king. A priest. A sacrifice. Meanwhile, a false king trembled. Herod, threatened by the idea of a real king, sought to destroy the child. But God protected his promise. Warned the wise men. Guided the family. Even danger could not stop what heaven had begun. Every prophecy pointed here. Every promise converged here. The waiting was over. But the story was only beginning. Now pause for a moment and let this sink in. This wasn't just the fulfillment of prophecy. This was God stepping into the human story. Not sending instructions. Not sending angels alone. But coming himself. Emmanuel. God with us. The birth of Jesus wasn't random kindness. It was deliberate rescue. God knew humanity couldn't climb its way back to him. So he came down. He entered weakness. He embraced limitation. He chose to experience hunger, pain, rejection, and sorrow. That baby in the manger carried the weight of the world before he ever took his first step. Think about how strange God's plan must have seemed. If we were writing the story, we would choose power, influence, immediate victory. But God chose patience, love, humility. He chose a slow path, a human life. 30 quiet years before public ministry. Years of obscurity. Years of learning. Years of living among the people he came to save. The prophecies didn't stop at his birth. They followed him through his life. Isaiah spoke of a suffering servant. One who would be despised and rejected. One who would bear our griefs and carry our sorrows. Psalm 22 described crucifixion centuries before it existed. Pierced hands. Mocking crowds. Dividing garments. Every detail waiting. The manger pointed to the cross. The wood of the feeding trough pointed forward to the wood of sacrifice. The gift of myrrh whispered of death. Even at his birth, the shadow of redemption stretched forward. But don't miss this. Jesus was not born to die alone. He was born to live among us. To heal the broken. To touch the untouchable. To forgive sinners. To speak truth. To reveal the heart of the Father. When Jesus grew, he did exactly what prophecy said he would do. The blind saw. The lame walked. The poor heard good news. The oppressed were set free. Not just physically, but spiritually. He didn't just change circumstances. He changed hearts. And the same people who longed for a Messiah struggled to recognize him. Because he didn't fit their expectations. They wanted a warrior king. He came as a servant. They wanted political freedom. He offered spiritual freedom. They wanted Rome overthrown. He wanted sin defeated. And that's the tension of Christmas. God rarely arrives the way we expect. But He always arrives the way we need. The birth of Jesus reminds us that God keeps His promises, even when it takes centuries. Even when it happens quietly. Even when it doesn't look impressive at first glance. Every prophecy pointed here not just to prove God's accuracy, but to reveal His heart. A God who plans. A God who waits. A God who enters suffering rather than avoiding it. And here's the most powerful part of all. This story didn't end in Bethlehem. And it didn't end at the cross. The same Jesus who was born, who lived, who died, also rose again. The tomb couldn't hold Him. Death couldn't defeat Him. Sin couldn't stop Him. Which means the promise of Christmas is still alive. That child born in a stable is still changing lives today. Still forgiving. Still restoring. Still calling people by name. Still offering hope to the weary. Still welcoming the broken. The question is no longer whether prophecy was fulfilled. History already answered that. The question is personal now. What does this birth mean for you? Because the same God who planned salvation across centuries sees you right now. Knows your struggles. Knows your fears. Knows you're waiting. And just like before, He often works quietly, patiently, faithfully, until the right moment. Christmas isn't just a celebration. It's an invitation. To trust. To believe. To receive.